Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another Sims 4 speedbuilding video. So in today's video I'm going to be building this family house in Brindleton Bay, and this is actually a limited pack build or a 3-pack build. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to title this yet, but basically I built this house using only 3 packs, and the 3 packs were Cats and Dogs and Seasons, which are 2 expansion packs, and then I also used a game pack which was Parenthood. And I really did not struggle when I was building this. I feel like them 3 packs are probably the packs that I use the most, but I didn't only stick to them packs because I use them the most. I just kind of felt like they are probably the more popular packs in my opinion. From what I've seen on Twitter and Instagram, people always seem to vote for Seasons or Cats and Dogs to be their favourite expansion pack. I'm one of them people where I'm not quite sure which one is my favourite, and it kind of changes depending on the day, because sometimes I'll say Seasons is my favourite and sometimes I'll say Cats and Dogs. To be honest, they're both just as amazing as each other. And with Parenthood as well, I think that Parenthood is such an amazing game pack. It's by far my favourite, and I believe that it was actually voted the most popular downloaded pack of last year, or maybe it was this year, I can't remember, but SimGuru Lindsay tweeted about it not too long ago. And with the actual results of that, I did actually do another build. I believe I used only Seasons, Parenthood and Laundry Day because I believe they were the most popular packs of the year, or like the most downloaded packs. But that is another video. I'll try and link that in the description box, or I'll put a card on the screen now or something. But I really wanted to build this little kind of limited pack build because I feel like it's been a little while since I last did one, and I always like to do a few of them a month. I try to do that anyway, just because I am aware that not everybody has all the packs, and sometimes when I build I do use quite a lot of the packs, but I don't actually use a lot of in the packs, if that makes any sense. I just use little bits and bobs, like little clutter items here and there from different packs. And I really wanted to build something that I feel like the more people can download it, because where I thought that Cats and Dogs and Seasons and Parenthood were kind of the most popular packs, then more people can download it and enjoy it. And so that's why I wanted to do this build for you today. So this is built in Brindleton Bay. Obviously, where I use Cats and Dogs, I needed to build something in Brindleton Bay because Brindleton Bay is the most amazing world. It's probably my favourite world. And where I was using Cats and Dogs, I wanted to build a house in that kind of style, which does normally take me quite long, but this build only took me around about 3 hours to build. So it doesn't actually take me as long as I thought it would. My last Brindleton Bay house actually took me all day to build. Like literally I was building that all day because of the curved roofs, but I actually managed to do this one quite quickly. I didn't actually have a reference picture when I was building this, although I did actually kind of record this or kind of start building this, and then once I actually finished the structure of the house, I looked at the footage back and I was moving the camera around so many times, and so I did have like kind of like a rough floor plan of what I originally done, and then I kind of refer to that, but I didn't actually use any reference pictures when I was building this. I just kind of put what I thought looked good. So like I said, this is built in Brindleton Bay. This is built on a 30 by 20 lot, I believe. I believe it's called the sporting space. I can't see it, it's too small for me to read right now, but it's in the top left corner if you're curious. But this is one of the lots which I believe is an empty lot, I think anyway, and I've never actually done a build here before, and so I thought it would be nice to do one here. I haven't actually done anything here for my save file as well. Now I'm not actually sure if I'm going to include this house in my save file or not, because where it is a limited pack build I wasn't quite sure, but I do actually really love it. I think I might actually keep this in my save file, and maybe on Twitch or just off camera, or when I do start Twitch that is, just gonna go in and add a few more clutter items which I feel like would really just bring the house together. There is a few things from kids' room stuff that was kind of missing in this house, and so I might actually put it in my save file and then just go back off, maybe off camera or like I said on Twitch, and add them back in, because I do actually love this house and I think it's just such a warm family house, and it seems really good for gameplay in my opinion. But as you can kind of see, I've already started doing the floor plan, and I was actually able to make the upstairs usable. So in my last Brindleton Bay house, the roofing just was not allowing me to make the upstairs livable and have any rooms up there. But for this house, I was actually, luckily I could do it, and so I was really happy with that, because this ended up being a 3-bedroom and 2-bathroom house. Upstairs there is 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, and then downstairs there is 1 bathroom, and then there is also kind of like a little office space, which I was originally going to put into an office, but then I kind of made it into a little sitting room. It's kind of got like a fish tank in there and an art easel and just like a little sitting room. Maybe one of your Sims really likes to read, and that'd be a really ideal place for them to go. But if you wanted maybe 4 bedrooms in this house, you can definitely just make that into one. You could probably make that into maybe some grandparents' bedrooms, which I thought would be really cute. but I just kind of wanted to keep it so all the bedrooms were upstairs. But obviously if you do decide to download this house, you can do whatever you want with it. But now I am just going around and finishing up the exterior look of the house. So this is all the wallpapering and just finishing off the windows and stuff. I really love the look of these Seasons windows with all this really light wallpaper, and especially this kind of red style roof. I never actually use this roof unless I'm doing a build in Willow Creek, because I've got a certain area in my save file that's got all of the same kind of like wallpaper and roof tiles, and it's actually these roof tiles, but I never actually seem to use them anywhere but that little neighborhood in Willow Creek, and I thought it was such a nice little combination. I used the cats and dogs wallpaper, I believe, throughout, but they're all just different swatches. So I used the kind of wood paneling of the cats and dogs one in this kind of brown shade and this kind of like light oak wood shade. I'm not really sure how to describe it. And then I also use these kind of, I'm not even sure what it's called, but it's kind of like the pleated looking ones, if that makes any sense, around the house as well. And I used them in 2 different colors, and I just think that this color combination with the kind of red roof just works so well, and especially with kind of like the white windows, the black like little grids inside them, and the white fences. I also changed the color of the outdoor lamps in this house, which I always use these base game lamps, but I normally only use them in the white color, but I actually decided to use them in this kind of black color, and I felt like it just really went well with this house because all of the exterior wallpaper was quite white, and I just kind of wanted to mix it up a little bit and have a little bit of a contrast. But moving on, I started landscaping this house. Now the front of the house is actually quite minimal when it comes to landscaping. I didn't want to clutter it too much with loads of different flowers and stuff, so I tried to keep it quite clean looking. Maybe the people that live in this house have a gardener or something and it's a well tended garden. I used these base game bushes around one side of the fence, and then I also just cluttered it up with a few little like plants and flowers here and there. Also I did use quite a lot of the cats and dogs trees as well in the front garden. My favourite tree we probably have in the game is the cats and dogs one, which is on the right hand side, and it comes in 3 swatches. It comes in this all white swatch, this all green swatch, and then a swatch of kind of them both swatches mixed together. I believe I end up deleting it though. I think I actually end up replacing it with another one of the trees which is on the other side, just because when it actually came to doing the back garden, I really wanted to fit in a swing set, because with Seasons we did get the swing set and I felt like I wanted to give it more gameplay into this house, and so I do actually end up adding a swing set into this little front garden bit. I couldn't actually fit it into the back garden, there just wasn't enough room, and so I believe I do actually just kind of move it or delete it, and there is a swing set there in the end anyway, but I'm not quite sure. I can't actually remember what I ended up doing. I think I actually just ended up deleting that whole little kind of flower bed area with the little birds table. But I'm just finishing up the landscaping of the front garden now. I do actually move on to the back garden, but like always I don't actually keep the footage in of me landscaping that, just because I always find that it's too repetitive and it's always the same plants but just in different formations. So you can kind of see I've moved on to the back garden now. I'm just kind of got this little flower bed area, and then there's also one on the other side, and then I do actually also add a little back gate into this garden. You will see me add a few plants and stuff there, but apart from that you don't actually see me landscape it. But as you can see, this back garden does have a swimming pool. Now, I feel like I always put swimming pools in my houses, and I don't know why, but I just feel like they add so much more gameplay. Maybe it's a really, really hot summer's day and your Sims need to cool down, so they can just jump in the swimming pool. I didn't actually add any kind of sunbeds or sun loungers into the back garden though, because there wasn't enough space, and so as you will kind of see, there is kind of like this top balcony on the second floor. I do actually end up adding them at the very end. You'll see me decorate that little area at the very last. Up there I do add like a little bar area and then some sun lounges. I use the base game ones in kind of like a brown swatch. I absolutely love the base game ones. I find myself using them ones more than the island living ones, but obviously I wasn't using the island living pack anyway when I was building this, so it didn't really matter. But as you can kind of see, this back garden does have the little flower arranging table as well as kind of like a little barbecue area. And then also with this little porch bit, there was quite an awkward shape and I didn't really know what to put down there. And so in the end, I just ended up putting some little planters, the circular planters, so your Sims can grow their own fruits and vegetables. They can do whatever they want. I just didn't really know what to do with that space. It was kind of like an awkward little kind of area to decorate. And so I ended up just putting them little planters in. But I'm just finishing up this little porch area as soon as your Sims walk out the back door. On that little porch porch area, I ended up using one of the cats and dogs sofas, which I always find myself using in back gardens or on porches. I never actually tend to use it in interiors. I know that I have actually used it before inside of houses, but I feel like it's such a perfect little kind of sofa love seat to use on porches, so your Sims can sit out on that little area of an evening and read a book or socialise or do whatever. I just feel like it should probably be in the outdoor seating anyway for me, just because I always tend to use it for exteriors and never really in interiors. But moving back to the front of the house, this is where I delete that little flower bed area with that cats and dogs tree. I actually really wanted to keep it in, but I also really wanted to add a swing set, and Seasons is actually where we got introduced with swing sets in the game. I believe now we have two. We have one from Seasons and we have one from Island Living, but I really wanted to give this house as much gameplay as possible, like all of my houses, and so I decided to delete it. And now you kind of see me that I'm actually deleting the original pathway which I put down. I actually originally used some floor tiles to kind of lead up to the house, but I really wanted a little path leading up to the swing set because I thought it would be a really adorable touch, and so I do actually end up deleting them floor tiles and just replacing it with this little terrain painted one, which I think actually just makes it look a little bit more cuter. I then do also add some foundation into this house as well as some stairs, which I actually used the season stairs, but now I'm actually moving on and I've started furnishing the house. So like always, I actually did the wallpapering and the flooring off camera because that stuff takes me way too long to decide, and I actually started this house by furnishing the lounge room, which normally whenever I go in and I start furnishing the house, I always go in and start furnishing the kitchen, but for today, for some reason, I decided that I wanted to start furnishing at the lounge room. So in the lounge room, I use the cats and dogs at fireplace. There is actually, so the placement of the fireplace is actually where the outdoor or like the exterior fireplace is. I actually deleted the wall, and the cats and dogs fireplace fits in so perfectly there. And then I also used the season sofas. Now originally I wasn't actually going to use them in this swatch, but then with the cats and dogs fireplace, it had this kind of a purple tile on them, or it looked like purpley to me, and I just wanted to kind of tie in the furniture with the fireplace, and so I decided to use the purple season sofas. I use a 3-seater, a 2-seater, and then also just a kind of single armchair. But now I am actually just doing the little bookcase area, so I do actually clutter this up quite a lot. Like always, I feel like this bookcase is way too bare, so whenever I place this into my houses, I always tend to just clutter it up like mad. But I also do have a little coffee table in the middle of this little area as well, and on there we just have a few flowers, some tissues, and just little bits and bobs just to kind of make it look a little bit more lived in. This is actually where I add the little desk area into the house as well. So this is actually the only computer in the house, which I don't know why I did this, but normally whenever I do bedrooms, I always add at least one other computer into one of the other bedrooms, but for today I just didn't actually do that. This is actually the only computer in the house. Now when I actually placed this down, originally I was thinking that the other room was actually going to end up being the office, but because I actually placed this down as the lounge room, this is when I decided that I'd kind of make it into a miscellaneous room. So that's the room that's got kind of like the fish tank and the art easel. As you will see, there is actually an art easel in this lounge room, but I do actually end up deleting that because I thought it would be a little bit funny or a little bit silly to have two easels really close to each other, and so I do actually just delete that one. But I am just doing the little walkway area as soon as you're walking through the front door. I did actually give this house a separate little porch area. I really like porches and I try to add them as much as often as I can, or much as often, that makes no sense, but as much as I can into my houses. And so I do just add this little area which kind of has this kind of a coat area, so your Sims can put their hats and coats and stuff and their boots, and there was also a little side table as well, so your Sims can throw their post down or throw their letters or their keys or whatever they have down on that little table. But now I'm actually moving on and I've started furnishing the kitchen. Now I absolutely love this kitchen. It's something that I did which I never ever do in this kitchen, is I actually added the staircase into here. So normally whenever I have a house that has 2 stories, I'll normally just tend to put the staircase into kind of like the hallway area or the lounge room, but the floor plan actually worked out, so it was actually in the kitchen, and I actually really like it. I don't know what it is, and I might actually start doing it a little bit more often, but I feel like it's a little bit more homey in a way because the staircase is in kind of like the kitchen instead of just being in a hallway. And I feel like your Sims might be able to, I don't know, socialise with each other a little bit more. Maybe a Sim is coming down the stairs and the Sim is cooking in the kitchen and they can stop and have a little chit chat. I don't know, I just really like the idea of it, so I might actually start including this in more of my builds. I normally just try and avoid putting staircases in the kitchen, but it's just the way that the floor plan worked out and I just really liked it. I also use the Parenthood counters in this kitchen as well, and this is probably one of my favourite swatches of the counters, but I never actually use it. But I felt like it just made this house so more homely and just more inviting, and so I decided to use it as well as the Parenthood tile, which kind of matches the counters as well as the wallpaper in the rest of the house. I decided to go for this tile because the wallpaper that I use in kind of like the rest of the house, the hallways and the lounge room, is actually the same brown wood on the bottom of the wallpaper, and I really wanted to kind of make it continuous throughout the whole house, and so I decided to use this wallpaper. I also do add the little dining room table area into the kitchen as well. There wasn't enough space to add it into the lounge area, but I kind of found like it was more inviting this way as well, and I just really like the idea of having dining rooms in kitchens. I found myself doing it a lot more regularly now. I just really like it. But I am now just clutching up this shelf, which is actually above the little bin area and the pet bowls. So there is actually 2 pet bowls in this house, so you can either have 2 cats or 2 dogs. I just kind of was thinking maybe the family that lives here has one of each, but obviously if you don't know this, you can do whatever you like with it. There is actually some cat scratching posts in the lounge room as well. I do actually also add the litter box, but I had that off camera. I actually end up adding that into the hallway area just because I did actually forget about it when I was doing the bathrooms, which I've now actually moved on to. So in the bathrooms, I actually use the cats and dogs toilet and bath, and I absolutely love that bath and toilet. I just think they're so beautiful. They come in this beautiful white swatch with this rose gold around it, and I absolutely love it. I just don't really tend to use it, and if I ever do use the cats and dogs toilet, I normally tend to use it in the white version. But in this bathroom, we do just have kind of like a little bath area as well as a sink and a toilet. I don't actually show the furnishing of the toilet upstairs or the bathroom upstairs just because it was the exact same thing and I didn't want it to be too repetitive. But in the upstairs one, we do actually have a little shower area. But now I've actually moved on to kind of like the little miscellaneous room. So this is actually originally going to be the office, but because there was a computer literally just around the corner, I decided to make it into kind of like a little miscellaneous room. So in here we do have the fish tank, so maybe your Sims want to go fishing and maybe they want to put the fish that they catch into that little fish tank. There is also a little art easel in here as well, and it's also kind of like a little reading room. So I was kind of thinking maybe one Sim really likes to read, but they never really have a quiet space, and that is kind of like the little designated quiet space to read. But moving on, I've started furnishing the upstairs of this house, and I actually started off with one of the children's bedrooms. So originally this was actually going to be a teenager's bedroom, but it actually ended up being a child's bedroom just because I added the little drawing table as well as a little toy box in here. I did actually use the Seasons bed in this purple swatch because it was kind of like a purpley room, but I was actually going to switch up the colour of the bedside table and the chest of drawers because on the Seasons bed I noticed that the back headboard had this brown oak wood on it, and I really wanted the chest of drawers and the bedside table to match, so I did actually try and play around with it, but in the end I just ended up using the white versions of these base game kind of chest of drawers and little bedside table. I did also clutter out that little chest of drawers area with a few makeup items, so we have a little hairdryer, we have some makeup, and then we also do have some teddy bear and like some little nail varnish, just a little bit of clutter just to make it look a little bit more realistic. This is also where I add the little drawing table. I use the one from Seasons I believe, and then I also do just go around and add some wall decor, so some Parenthood items and some Seasons items. I actually use the flowers, which I absolutely love from Seasons. But I've actually now moved on and I've started furnishing the second child's bedroom. So in here I went for a very blue theme. I used this Parenthood bed, which when I was actually building this I thought it was from Kids Room Stuff, but then I realised that it must be from Parenthood because Kids Room Stuff was actually a pack that I disabled. But in here we do actually have very similar items. I do actually add the little science experimental table in here, which I never actually tend to use in builds because I don't really like the look of it, and we have so many different versions of that drawing table, but we only have one version of the little scientific table, and I really wish that if we was going to get more kind of versions of the drawing table, they could just kind of scrap that idea and give us more versions of the little science table, because I really do not like the look of it, but I decided to use it in that bedroom. But now I'm actually just moving on and I started furnishing the parents' bedroom. In here, like always, I went for a very brown theme. I always tend to go for brown themes when I do parents' bedrooms. I actually ended up using the Seasons bed as well, and I feel like every single time I use this bed, I always say this, but I feel like this bed looks so cozy and inviting, and I actually would love to have this bed just because it looks so warm and cozy. But in here I do just have the little cats and dogs bedside tables as well. The woods do actually match quite well even though they are from separate packs. We also do have a little chest of drawers area as well. This bedroom was actually quite big, so I didn't actually know what to do with the space. But in this little kind of nook corner area, we do just add this little chest of drawers table, and I use the one from Seasons, and then I also do just clutter it up with a few books and some folded shirts. I didn't want to put too much clutter on top of this. I kind of felt like maybe the parents would have quite a clutter-free bedroom, but I did just add a little bit just to make it look a little bit more realistic. I also did add a little kind of seating area into this bedroom. Where it is so big, I didn't really know what to do with the space, and so I decided to add these 2 armchairs that we got from Cats and Dogs. I feel like they're so cute and cozy, and I just thought it'd be really nice if your Sims could sit on these little armchairs and just kind of look out the window, maybe have a conversation, maybe read a book, whatever they want to do. I just thought it was really cozy. I actually added a little bedside table in between them both, and the bedside table is actually one from Seasons, and it's in the same collection, or it looks as if it would be in the same collection as the little chest of drawers area in this bedroom as well. But I am now moving back outside, and I'm just going to finish off this house by doing this little balcony area on the 2nd floor. But anyway guys, as always, I hope you guys enjoyed watching me build this little limited pack build, and as always, if you do like my content, then please subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in my next Sims 4 speedbuilding video. Bye guys.